Captain America. Fuck. Hello, Flickin' Fanatics. It is Jesse Swift, the host with some stuff, and some really great co-hosts with me tonight. Some guests on the show, familiar faces, especially both these guys were in the last time we talked about Marvel with the Wakanda Forever trailer reaction, which got 17,000 views. What? Thanks to all your guys' energy. But we are back talking Marvel once again with the newest Disney Plus show, She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Jennifer Walters, played by Tatiana Maslany, and Mark Ruffalo. And we haven't gotten to Eli Roth, but that's going to be in there. And then the Return of Daredevil. We got lots of fun stuff that we're going to be talking about for the next 8 weeks. Very excited. And we're going to discuss Steve Rogers' sex life, believe it or not. That's not something we knew we were going to get into talking about this show. But this is a spoiler review. So just so you know, we will be spoiling the crap out of She-Hulk. Yeah. So, guys, introduce yourself. Who are you? Start with the man to my that direction. Got it.
Hi, I'm Colin. You've seen me before. I'm the Kang guy. Now here to talk about not blue people but green people in She-Hulk. I'm very excited. This is the only Law show aside from Better Call Saul that I will watch.
My second favorite Colin, right under Colin Robinson. But we also have Chris Anthony Lopez on the far side. Hey, buddy. I guess I gave you your name already, but
yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Hi, my name is Chris Anthony Lopez. Typically
that's
the black
Christian
guy,
name, right?
But yeah, that's my God-given name. Typically the black guy, now the fuck guy, and I am
hashtag fuckwatch.
Hashtag fuckwatch. I'm here to talk about She-Hulk. I didn't know that the show is going to be on Thursday. I was expecting Wednesday. Was very disappointed.
Well, if you were following my TikTok or looking at our YouTube shorts, you would know that I had talked about this coming out on Thursday like 2 weeks ago.
And I guarantee you, I liked all your TikToks, dog. Every time they pop up on my feed, I give you a heart. Don't play with me, Jesse. And by the way, go follow the Flickin' Real TikTok. They do some good work over there. By they, I mean Jesse.
Violation of Sean Wingblade crying that I put up today to disturb Sound of Silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might download TikTok just to go watch that because I made a TikTok and I'm pretty sure you both follow me. And the only TikTok I've made, one was of me making an omelet. The other was of me getting hit on the sidelines by a basketball player as he fell over me. So it's the only two I've made. I don't know. Guys, give me ideas.
Can I just say Sean in that picture looks like me when I was still working at
It disturbed me. I saw that at work, and I wanted to text him and make sure he was okay.
Look how sad he looks.
I'm just saying, like, have you guys ever...
Shit, he looks like... That's therapy right there. That's
have you guys ever gotten cysts in your eyes? Like just the big gnarly cysts where you can hardly keep your eye open?
There's our man, Sean.
And let's also talk about that video dropped today. And it's
when did it drop, Jesse?
Already. Today.
Wow, it was even worse the second time.
Holy shit. Yeah, man.
Wow, the internet like really fucked you the first time. And then the second time it was
you know what? Two things fuck in this world. Steve Rogers and my Ethernet cable. Heyo.
There you go.
Heyo.
Both have a very hot tip.
Yeah.
And
why I don't want to talk about why Steve Rogers' tip is so hot. But there are some other
ass is. It's now canonical that ass is fine.
I want to
deserve to be appreciated.
I want to call bullshit on Bruce's story. Not that it didn't happen, but when it happened. I have some
okay, are we just gonna do this at the top and we can talk about the show?
Or do we want to
just like this show starts at the beginning where Jennifer Walters says, "Listen, I know you're not gonna be able to focus on this lawyer show until we talk about the Hulk of it all. So
Right.
I guess we can't talk about the Hulk of it all until we talk about the fuck of it all.
Okay.
So I guess we should talk about the fuck of it all, which let's lay it out on the line. There's a whole, there's a slew of information that we have here. Let's start with what we know. One, he went into the ice in 1944. Okay. So he had the USO tour in 1943. Okay. Where he is the only, let me emphasize this, the only man who does not talk to any of these women like a piece of hot garbage. Okay. You have to imagine if these USO dancers are going out on the tour in Europe, all of these men are talking to them like dog shit. You know who's not talking to them like dog shit? Chris Anthony Rogers. Like, no way, Chris Rogers. There's no Chris Rogers, Chris Evans. Guys, it's been such a long day. Okay,
I knew what you meant.
Jesse, you're muted, and I really want to know what you're saying.
I was like, that was a lot. You got Cal in there, you got Chris Evans in there, and you got Steve Rogers. You're like,
I'll take when I marry Steve Rogers, I will take his last name. Yes.
There's no way Steve Rogers was not approaching these women with the utmost respect compared to what they were getting catcalled from the soldiers who had not seen a woman in upwards of 18 months. And so, of course, there would be a night where one of these women would be like, fuck it, let's go for the nice guy. We've all been the nice guy once in a while. We know what that's like. Steve just happened to be the nice guy who looks like a fucking Olympic track star and could shot put a disc like 1 billion miles an hour. But he's also the nicest guy ever. He's literally he is the perfect dude. Like a girl who every girl in high school I knew was like, I want the bad boy, but I want him to be nice. You know, there was always that thing of like, do you want Edward or do you want Jacob? Well, guess what?
It's
Steve Rogers is both of them.
It's the Bo Burnham song. You want a good guy?
Yes,
you want a bad
it's 100%
guy. Yes. All right. Speaking of women,
so
let's talk about the show. SheHULK.
There's no lies here.
We'll circle back to it. We'll circle back to it. Let's talk about the show. Jennifer Walters. We got enough people on the internet talking about how Daredevil's going to be involved, how Scar might come into play, what's going on with Scar, World War Hulk. Let's talk about SheHULK. It is her show, so let's take a minute. We start off surprisingly with an opening scene where she's getting ready to give her speech during the trial. And she addresses that she's already SheHULK. But we've already seen the trailers, so we know we're going to get backstory and stuff. But immediately busts that fourth wall down. And I'm already loving it. I already like the dynamic between, is her friend Nikki? Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nikki's great. She's charming. The other guy in the office is a bag of shit. What's that?
Fantastic style.
Oh,
Fantastic style.
The little
game is 10 out of 10.
A little bit of banter and stuff's already really good. And it's like, hey, you're not going to probably get invested into this lawyer show, Colin, unless you know a little bit more about my superhero origin story. So here we go. And we start off with a car ride. And it is a slight shift from how it's done in the comics. Jennifer Walters originally was a mob hit, I believe. And then she had to get a blood transfusion from, I almost said Mark Ruffalo, but Bruce Banner even. And it's a more drawn out reveal.
That's my fault.
What's that?
I said Chris Anthony Rogers. So
now
you don't know who, you don't know what anybody's name is.
The whole show is blown, absolutely. And yeah, so the beginning of Steve Rogers' sex life watch begins, and she's talking about all the things leading to her thoughts about him probably being a virgin, which is very funny. It feels very on brand for both the MCU and the show and She-Hulk as a character, because Jennifer Walters is a smarmy, clever individual. She's always bringing up stuff like that. Anyways, car crash. She gets Bruce's blood on her open wound, and they become blood siblings. You guys remember that? Blood brothers? You guys cut your wrists?
I've never done that myself, but I know what you're talking about.
Chris, what happens in LA, I guess, stays in LA.
Excuse me? Was I present for that?
Dude, people might do things with people they shouldn't do, but that's not the kind of blood mixing that goes down in South Carolina. I'll tell you right now.
That's probably true. So it was a little convenient, a little bit rushed on that end, but they're trying to get to the She-Hulk stuff. And then there's a story that came out that this was originally going to be more episode 8 stuff. And I'm glad they put it in the beginning because that makes no sense other than the fact that like Moon Knight and I'm trying to think what else, but there's a couple shows that like waited till almost the end of the show to do the origin.
Well, Moon Knight was the big one, because we wanted to.
Where it was like you didn't see it till the end.
Yeah,
right.
It was more of a mystery, and She-Hulk's not about being a mystery, so it was good that they got it out.
This is the MCU's Fleabag.
Yeah,
like that is what this show is.
Which, speaking of, can we get Andrew Scott in the MCU, please and thank you?
My girlfriend would literally quit the MCU if I do his impression of Moriarty. She won't talk to me for hours.
Why?
Like I'm unlookatable. Like she hates that voice. If he comes in with that, I can't even do it because she's in earshot and I want to go to bed tonight. Like I can't.
I will burn the heart out of you.
Right. Like I can't. The high pitch when he says Sherlock, like it's done.
Sherlock.
Like, it's over. And he showed up in what were we watching? Oh, we just watched Spectre, and it was like this movie's over. It was over for her. And I hated that movie anyways. And I was like, oh, well, cool. We don't ever have to watch this movie again. I'm good with never seeing this again.
Well, I love Andrew Scott. Scart? Man, this is your fault, Collins.
But
watch.
To go back to a little bit of the Fleabag thing, it takes a long time for that show for a character to acknowledge that a character breaks for another character to acknowledge the fourth wall breaking. And like to your episode 8 point of Moon Knight, that happens in this episode immediately when she does that at the bar with Bruce. So it will happen. It will be a thing. And it's something that I think they can learn lessons from with Deadpool, where when Deadpool did it a few times, there were a couple of instances where other people like kind of caught on to what was happening there, but it didn't break the story. I think this has an opportunity to do it the Kevin Feige way, because Kevin Feige had Deadpool's probably the thing he's had the least amount of like hands in the creative pool for lack of a better word, in Marvel. So for him to have a chance to do this for the first time himself, this is off to a really good start, because I didn't want it to be every time. It definitely could have been overused very quickly, but I think she only did it 3 times in this episode. When she leaves the room, when she leaves the office at the beginning of the episode, when she comes back to tell you at the end of the episode that she's then going to the case after she catches you up, and the one time at the bar. So I feel like in 37-minute episode, 3 fourth wall breaks, that's pretty solid. It wasn't overused. I was a big fan of it.
And they told us from the jump, at least from the trailers, that we were going to get fourth wall breaking. And I was kind of weirded out in a good way that in the beginning where they're setting up what's going on and she's telling us, hey, yeah, it's a lawyer show. It's a lawyer show. Don't forget. But here's what you want.
And I think they're doing
like she leaves with Nikki, she goes back into the room to tell us that.
Yeah.
So I really like that the little the subtlety behind having to go back into the room by herself to tell the camera, hey, here's how I'm the Hulk.
And now we don't, like, if this origin was in the middle of the show, it would have felt a little jarring, I guess, because we would have had the lawyer show. And I think they got this out of the way, so now we can have more lawyer-centric. And I've heard from the people that have watched the first 4 episodes that it does become that, and there is more of the law, attorney at law aspect focused on. And I've heard, not just the obvious ones that they've advertised in the trailers, but I've heard there's some really, really fun cameos and roles and things that we're going to see. I want to know what Frogman's all about. Like, we've seen him a couple times in the trailers. I don't know anything about him. There's like a almost AA group of, I don't know if they're supervillains or what they are. There's so many things I'm looking forward to getting more of. I saw Abomination in a full suit, like walking through a building, and people were cheering him on. What's all that about? William Harold.
I'm definitely interested to see the transition, because we know I can tell that things are going to happen based on what I know of the comics and what I've seen in the trailers. We've seen her flashy all-white office where Wong comes in by a sling ring.
She becomes the superhero, like, face of...
Exactly, right. Yeah. So we know... So if we get into the details of the episode, she's starting off this episode giving her closing statement to her paralegal, Nikki, and I forget his name, but in the comics, I believe he's also assistant district attorney. I don't know if he is that right now, but that's what she is, and they don't say that. Like, you just have to see it on the door in reverse that she is the assistant district attorney. And what's going to happen in the show is that it's a JLKNH.
Something like that.
Did I add too many letters to it? But that's what's going to be the law agency that she works for, that she then gets that big office, and that's who she's going against in this trial.
She's very impressive, but she is no Nelson and Murdoch. Avocado's a law.
We don't know that yet.
Dude, bruh, she's the assistant district attorney. They cannot give people water in their waiting room. Okay? Like, she's the assistant district attorney of New York. If this was real life, she'd be trying Donald Trump.
She's actually not in New York. That's what had me confused about.
Or LA. Sorry, LA. She'd be dealing with Taylor Swift.
I want to know how she runs into Matt, because they're not close as far as we know, unless Matt's traveling.
Good. I like the fact that this is so different. Be clear.
What human being would want to get out of New York City more than Matt Murdock? My life has been shit.
So he wants to go fight crime in another city? I think he would just want to take a vacation.
Well, it might just be that I bring my suit with me for special occasions.
All right. Well, one thing we are skipping over, hashtag Scarwatch, is the reason that Jen crashed is when the Sicarian courier ship flies in front of the car and they go driving off the rails and stuff. So before we get into our first transformation, things like that, call it and educate us. What do you think that ship means?
So, folks, here's what happens. All right, the Illuminati decide that they're going to send Hulk into space. Okay,
in the original World War Hulk.
In the original World War Hulk story, Planet Hulk, sure, all the same shit. It's all one big fucking story of Hulk being off world. All right, cool. So Hulk is sent off planet by the Illuminati. Hulk ends up on Sakaar. In the years that he is on Sakaar, he fathers children. Okay, fathers children. Okay, cool, really great, awesome. When we find him in Thor Ragnarok, he has been on Sakaar for 2 years. Are you telling me that no? Okay, that was going to be my agenda tonight.
He was a rock star on Sakaar. He was a rock star. They were all celebrating.
Agenda, okay, folks. It's not about Steve Rogers fucking. That's the misdirect. It's about Hulk fucking, and that's what this is going to be about. Why else would he be showing up? There's two options, okay? Either his kid's pissed and he's come back and time works differently. That's a full-ass grown adult coming to find his daddy, which would be cool. That'd be great. Or it's the Grand Master being like, I want my boy back, and you left, and you bailed on me, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you back. That's all I got.
I think it's a good theory. That's the prevailing theory that's one popular online right now. And it was a little brushed over in this episode. And I think I heard from people I've seen the first 4. It hasn't been resolved yet. I hope it's resolved.
Mark Ruffalo's not going to be on this show until the last 2 episodes.
That's quite possible.
We got so much Mark Ruffalo in this episode. The second it was like 30 minutes into the episode and he was still on screen, I was like, oh, this is it. This is like all the Mark Ruffalo we're getting in this show. He showed up and shot all of this in like 3 days.
We'll get into some of the Hulk and all the fun stuff we got with Mark Ruffalo and Bruce Banner. Talk really quickly about we get to see the transformation. Oh, and there was a fun Easter egg because I was about to call her Savage She-Hulk because there was the Savage Jennifer Walters reference at the beginning of the show. I definitely did the Leo DiCaprio went, yep. For those of you that don't know, she's been called Sensational She-Hulk, but she has also been called Savage She-Hulk in the comics. It's where they said, hit him with the Savage Jen Walters line. That's what that was a reference to. Anyways, so we do get to see her first, I'll say, savage transformation, where she turns into She-Hulk and then werewolves off into the woods and wakes up and goes into a bar. And we get to see just a lovely little communion of a very kind girl.
That's a real bar in Atlanta, by the way. Shout out to Ideal Sports Bar. shout out to Junior Crickets in the left corner that they didn't change the Junior Crickets. Shout out to everybody that's gone in there and gotten a 69-cent soda. That was me as a kid. And they changed it to Roxxon. That was definitely an Exxon logo that they added a Rex to in the top. Quit playing, Marvel. I know your tricks. That's Atlanta. That's the South. I understand what y'all are doing.
With that attention to detail, I'm sure you caught the Miss Marvel lightning bolt kind of symbol.
Listen. I heard. I forgot her name. I think her name's is Jessica. Whoever's filling in for my boy over there on New Rockstars.
Oh, Jessica Clemens.
Jessica Clemens. She said some shit that was like, if Kang went back in time and drew the lightning bolt on the chalkboard because he knew that Miss Marvel would be Miss Marvel, because this is technically happening before Miss Marvel. And I was like, whoa. That is some serious shit. You could say Kang and I just get turned on immediately and I could go for 15 minutes of how Kang did all of this. Because he did. He wrote all of this.
We're gonna when we start bringing names back up on here with the banners and stuff, we're just gonna change Collins to Kangaroo.
Nice.
That's a great name. If I ever actually competed in the Schmodown, my name would have to be Colin the Conqueror. It's just official now.
That's true.
Yeah, it would.
Anyway, all right. So moving on from that, she then leaves the bar and is getting kind of catcalled, kind of approached by some shady figures. Were they there when you went there too, Colin? Those guys just hanging around outside?
Listen,
super shady?
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. They could have portrayed these guys a lot worse, so it made me think that she was just having a bad day.
Yeah,
like these guys.
There's something about personal space,
and then until he followed her into the street, to which I was like, "Do not follow the female into the street. You will find some hands at the other end of that line." To
when
which
she says, "My ride's coming,"
Bruce came in and bodied her ass on the ground.
She just had a real series of getting knocked out and waking up in random places for a couple sequences.
Way better than getting dropped out of a plane.
Yeah, which was a funny callback when she said, "Well, how did you turn back into Bruce?" It's like, "Oh, I either got knocked out by a robot or dropped out of a plane." Or
we call that a T-ball.
Yeah.
Tee that up for him.
Perfect.
Nice little setup.
Did you guys like when she's first wandering around? I'm just gonna call it Bruce's hut, even though it's more than a hut. It's on a little private island area. A lot of people are calling it an old Iron Man mask. I was like, that's not an Iron Man mask. That's
Ultron's first mask, motherfucker.
Yeah, I got no strings on me. And then somebody pointed out, because I do miss things sometimes, especially when I watch these things late at night, early in the morning. Hulk's Gladiator helmet was up on the wall there.
All right. Can we get 2 minutes on that?
All right.
How did that get there?
I don't know.
How did that get there?
The courier ships have been dropping things off for him.
No idea. The only answer is Valkyrie. I think that's the only answer. Is that she could have brought it to him. And if she didn't get blipped, we could have a Marvel short of Tessa Thompson and Mark Ruffalo and them just having this conversation of like, so you were that green dude that whole time? Like, she still really hasn't come to terms with it. Let's be honest. They spent most of that movie of like, right. Like, there's never really been a resolution to that. I'd like a Marvel short. That's all I got.
I want to start asking.
Otherwise, I don't know how the fuck you got that.
I want to start asking some bigger questions so we can kind of like find our way through the review. Because for those of you who don't know, we are doing a speakeasy after this. So join us for that. It's an open conversation about whatever the heck we want, whether it be Sandman, She-Hulk, or what have you. What do you guys think of the comedy? Because it's been kind of divisive both before and after this first episode dropped. Is the comedy working for you in the show so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. To me, this whole show was incredibly refreshing, like upon every aspect, whether it stemmed from Tatiana Maslany or her chemistry with Mark Ruffalo, which is very apparent. I don't know if they worked with each other before, but my God, I thought they were stellar together. And I hope we get to see more of that later in the series once we get a lot more Jen Walters. Because
they have more on-screen chemistry than I've ever had with like any of my cousins in real life.
It's nuts. Like, and they're over here like, oh, yo, like, damn, like, you're definitely my cousin.
Y'all
Like,
never
what the
busted
hell?
up with the cuz? Y'all
What's
never
up?
had like a hang with the cuz?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've hung out with
on
my
like
cousins
a family
before.
vacay?
But they're over here like,
My cousins aren't that interesting.
they're out here
Damn.
doing their hulky stuff, hulky things. But I love their chemistry, and I thought the fourth wall breaking played a part into that. With like, this is just a different vibe, and if Marvel's Phase 4 has shown us anything, it's that we are trying to switch things up from the norm and give you different genres of stuff. And She-Hulk is, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's different than anything else we've gotten so far in the MCU. It's even portrayed Bruce Banner in a different light. Like, this is the first time we're really getting to really flesh out this smart Hulk, as he put it in the series.
We haven't gotten a lot of
more of that.
The second person to ever make him feel insecure. Thor is easily the first person to ever make him insecure about his abilities. And it's not his confidence in his abilities, it's the limits of his abilities. And it's that Thor is a god. And there's just something that like Hulk has his ceiling of like, I want to be better than Thor. She just came along and took out 10 years of a 15-year plan he had nicely made in a
10 years of that was just him fighting with his alter ego.
That shit was laminated. It was in nice paper, like it was in nice little folder things, It was
he was waiting for another Hulk, obviously.
Well, it cracked me up when
she just yeeted that shit. And if you don't mind, Jesse, would you mind clicking on Sean's most recent comment? Because I do have an answer for this. How did Hulk know what the Sakaran ship was?
Can I just say nobody knows? Nobody knows that's conscious. No, like I don't.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Nobody actually knows.
He must have gone back there during the 5-year blip. Actually, the ship they used to leave Sakaar is the exact same model of ship as the ship.
Yeah, and Bruce
that shows up. So the ship they use that he gets dropped out of onto Asgard is that ship, just a different color, because I'm pretty sure they find it and it's dope, and it's after they do the help me scene after.
And Bruce is conscious in that ship. He's not Hulk when they're in the ship, because
so
he gets dropped out of there onto the Bifrost. Yeah.
Right. So he is conscious in a ship. There is a little bit. Kevin Feige, we almost had you, Kevin Feige. Sean almost had you, and then Kevin Feige said, not so fast.
I think Marvel's going to have that much more difficulty with continuity errors now that Iman Vellani's on the crew, because she's not going to let them get away with anything. She is obsessed with MCU continuity.
She's the smartest person about Marvel I've ever seen.
Have you ever seen the embarrassing Marvel quizzes that they put her through on YouTube?
And she nailed them.
But yeah, like they asked her, what was the name of like the organization that captured Tony Stark? And she's like, it's the 10 Rings, and the runtime of Iron Man is 2 hours, and blah 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 blah. She's like, shut up, leave me alone.
After every button, she wanted to hit the sound cue.
Yeah, exactly. So we really begin like the training montage of Smug Hulk, trying to get Jennifer Walters up to speed and training her physically, trying to train her anger, and we get the reveal where she's like, listen, I got this. Like, now that I understand that I can transform, I'm in complete control of this, because I'm angry every day and I can't show it, and I have to be in charge of my emotions. Otherwise I get called emotional, and I can be like, berated. I could have my life in danger and all this stuff. And I will just really quick, without getting into it too much, anybody taking issue with this, trying to say that's unnecessary or shut up. I don't want to hear from you. You're not my people. Get out of here. I thought this was important. I thought it was poignant. We should have more of this. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But what did you think about the back and forth in the depth that we got to see with both Jennifer Walters and Bruce Banner? Like you guys said, with their chemistry and stuff.
It's the best. Like, off rip, they established this chemistry. Again, don't know how much time they spent together before they started shooting, but I bought that they've known each other for a very long time. I bought the whole cross-country road trip. I bought all of that. And just as the episode progressed, we saw little to no. I mean, we saw little, actual attorneying towards the end of the episode. Lawyering, but for the most part, it was just Bruce and Jen, them doing their stuff as the Hulk, and him trying to, coach her through it. But in reality, as you said, Jesse, it's different for her. You can't teach that, like how my man's Enzo and Cass a long time ago. You just can't teach that.
Well, he was putting so much focus on like the namaste and like the getting in charge of your emotions, because that was his longest struggle for the biggest period of time. And she's like, that's not my issue. My issue is, how can I just be normal and be a lawyer? It's like, well, you're not going to do that because this is like a 15-year journey. And she's like, F that noise. I'm out of here. But I do want to talk about some of the highlights. The rock throwing was funny because it's with guys, it's always going to be a penis measuring competition. Like that's just
and you can't. And I'm so glad they didn't. I don't know if they showed it to us in trailers or TV spots. The third rock, as our man Curtis and Chen mentioned, like being thrown into space. I love that. It was a very subtle bit that, again, like Bruce finding this struggle within himself. Like, why is Jen getting this way faster than I?
He's so jealous.
Fucking killed a planet, Chris.
Yeah.
That poor rock killed a planet.
Satellites.
We're not gonna let him off on
spaceships.
this. Satellite gone.
Did you guys die laughing when she first like crushes the saws and comes out there like grunting and stuff? He like starts making horse noises at her. He's like, "Whoa!"
Yes. No, he goes, "Yes, yes," and then she grabs the door and goes, "No, no, 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 no."
Again,
honestly, I think
this is already
from the plot.
Like
I think
like the funniest.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Did it not look great?
For them, I thought 90% of it was fine.
That's exactly what I was going to say about 90%. Like occasionally there's like a thing, and I'm like, this is a show on Disney Plus. If there's a thing or two, I can get past it. Honestly, She-Hulk looks better than CG Moon Knight, and there was no reason for that because that was a practical suit.
Ooh, I like that.
How much of that suit was practical?
The suit was at the premiere. And then for some reason, for the fight scenes, at least like with the regular Moon Knight suit, they CG'd over it. Like the chest looked weird, the cape was weird.
Oscar Isaac put that shit on.
Yeah,
like that was definitely present. At least I don't know how
and
much.
Also, I'm gonna get chastised and not be allowed in my bed tonight if I don't say that my girlfriend has been using chopsticks with flaming hot Cheetos for over 2 years before Oscar Isaac, before Tatiana Maslany in the show. When that happened, when I tell you we paused,
I've been seeing,
and we had like a 4-minute I have been seen moment that has been occurring in this household. And I swear, if my cat does not stop squishing that bag, I'm gonna bust his ass. But
see, and speaking of cats, that's the reason why I have a Band-Aid on my hand for those.
I was wondering about that, but I didn't know if it was like a health thing or something. I didn't want to.
It's my roommate's cat. Tried fighting it before I got on here. I'm the obvious loser.
Got.
Yeah, I got. But speaking of Bruce, right? I know the show's about Jen, and I'm so glad. No offense to Mark Ruffalo, but I'm glad hopefully he's only in a few of these. Special guest star Mark Ruffalo, as they put him in the credits. But we got a lot of Bruce fleshing out in this, because our man, let's be real, within the entire MCU, our man Bruce Banner has been a lost cause. He's always played second fiddle to somebody, especially Mark Ruffalo's. Let's not talk about,
because of our good friends Universal.
Yeah, funny enough that it's a legal reason why.
Yeah, let's get Jen on the case.
It's a legal reason why he hasn't been able to get
Jennifer Walters for the distribution.
Well, legally we could do this.
But this show's going to flesh out. I mean, just in the first episode, gave us a lot of context into what Bruce was doing while a lot of the other shit was happening. That whole hut, him and Tony built that. Tony and the whole BB and TS on the bar top, them etching their initials into it, super cute. And while at the same time, it also showed us like they were tight as hell. They were they're cool.
Never gonna let us stop missing Tony.
Exactly. And just when you thought, like, why would they mention him in the She-Hulk show? There it is.
It was like reminiscing. It was. I think we've moved past that. Like we really got the mourning period. This wasn't mourning.
No.
We've seen mourning. It was Spider-Man sitting in front of a Iron Man mural,
right,
mourning his death. That was mourning. We have now moved on to acceptance, and
we're celebrating him in a way.
Yes, we would have had a more visceral reaction to the bar breaking if it was more recent to his death. We've had time to adjust, and it was like, cool, we're gonna rebuild this deck, and then she carves her name into it, and you're like, oh, this is fucking.
And that again, like we're saying goodbye to the past while also embracing the future with that, you know, like they built the bar together and it's super sweet, and Bruce is halfway shitty that they broke it in their little scuffle, which I can't talk about. But they did, and
yeah, because she's sorry about it, because she genuinely feels those emotions from him. She felt bad about it. Like that's something that like I don't know that we ever had the ability to see Bruce feel regret for anything that he did. Every time we've ever seen Bruce come out of a bad Hulk phase, he doesn't remember it because, like we've heard in this episode, it was a different dude. It was a different dude doing those things. That was a different person.
Like in Avengers, you refer to him constantly as the other guy.
The other guy, right?
Yeah. Or I was
and like, so it just seems to me that like the ability for her to feel remorse and be present in it while she's the Hulk will allow her to be a better Hulk than him and to feel empathy for other people.
I think that's what the show's going to be ultimately. Like we're saying not goodbye to Bruce Banner. I think he's going to still stick around for a while, but he won't be as Jen will be our Hulk going forward, and she's going to do right by early Hulk's mistakes and early Bruce's mistakes, because let's not act like Bruce Banner's a perfect person, but we're going to have a better Hulk because of it. And I still think that Bruce will be instrumental into Jen being the sensational She-Hulk, or whatever she wants to be referred to as by the time the series is done.
There was some important dialogue that happened when Bruce was trying to keep Jen from leaving because she wanted to get back to her lawyer life. And he is so fixated on making her a superhero and having her be the next Hulk. And she says, I already have established my way of helping people, and it's being a lawyer. Like, I don't need your, superhero hand-me-downs or whatever. Like, this is what I want to do. So she's established. She's already a good person, or somebody that is in, like, servitude of people that wants to help people. She just doesn't need the superhero title to it. And then the whole fight breaks out, and she gets thunderclapped, and then she gives him the thunderous applause, which I thought was hilarious.
Wow.
Good job, Jesse.
Wow. Have you been waiting all day for that?
I will bow. Thank you.
I didn't even think of that.
I'll give you a thunderous round of applause.
Thank you so much.
That was good.
I started, again, for like the 10th time, I was cracking up in the show, and she just starts like smack, and the fight was good. The fight looked good. Again, I think the show really, I don't want to say it looks like okay. It looks better than okay. It looks really good for what it is.
Yeah, I think Matt Thomas made an excellent point when he sent me a trailer, and he was like, this is a trailer that has been formatted and posted to YouTube that is not in 4K. Go watch the trailer on Disney Plus. And it was a different trailer. It was a different quality. It was dubbed down. And there were some of those hits that you could tell, she was in green makeup. Like some of those shots where they were standing at each other, at the computer in the cave, in the Hulk cave, like she was in that makeup. Like you could tell that was a wig. That was not CGI. Like they had shot that Hobbit light.
You'd have to show me behind the scenes to prove that to me. I think it was just really good CGI most of the time.
The assembled will be very interesting when it comes out.
There were times where I looked at Mark Ruffalo and I was like, that is his face that they have shot and then done up. Like it looked that good. There were some shots of him in that cave where I was like, that's the best he looked. He looked better in some of these shots than I think he looked in Endgame, which I think is just crazy, but is also the advancement.
That Endgame was 3 years ago.
3 years of CGI. So what are we comparing? Like 3 years ago of CGI on movies can now be applied to TV.
Wow.
So I think that was honestly something. I think that's something that hurt this show the most was the conversation of how it looked and not what it was as a show. And what it is as a show and what it looks like is surpassing expectations of mine, beyond belief.
Yeah. So let's get to the tail end of the episode and wrap up this review so we can move on to other things. I mean, for me, it's working pretty well, but we do get caught up to where she was in the beginning of the episode with the trial a little bit, which I'm waiting to get more details on kind of what's happening there. We have Titania busting in through the walls, interrupting the trial, and she gets one-punch man, just half unconscious. And,
Great reference.
Yeah, thanks. I'll try. We see Jennifer Walters, as she does often in the comics, ruin a perfectly good suit. And it's a funny moment. And a lot of people are like, oh, it was rushed. I was like, that's because this is just it's a stinger. That was just the stinger to the episode. It's like, hey, we're going to get more Titania. We've seen more of her in the trailers. And as, do you guys remember the name of the actress that plays Titania? Jamila
Jamali.
Yes. She is, in a recent interview, say that Titania is the messiest bitch in the MCU, which is probably one of my favorite quotes that I've heard recently. So we will get more of her.
She's hella jelly.
Yeah.
She is hella jelly of Jennifer Walters.
So she kicked a wall down. What's her deal?
So I 100% believe that she was. So she's sent there by the company that is hiring Jen for Jen to Hulk out and prove that she's a superhero lawyer. And then they're going to hire her to be their lawyer.
But how is she kicking walls down?
Start representing Blonsky.
I don't know enough about Titania.
I like
her name's Titania, not minimum person.
You're absolutely right, Colin. You're absolutely right. How
that's valid.
Titania, like she's a titan, like she can knock shit down.
I didn't say what was the background to her name. I'm trying to say, where did she get that from? You don't just like pop out of the womb. Hey, your name's Titania. You're gonna have superpowers because of the name I gave you.
And I guarantee we'll get to know more about her as the series progresses. She is one of the leads of the show. So
yeah, she was second billing and she was in it for 36 seconds getting her ass whooped.
We got to get all our Mark Ruffalo out the way, and then we can bring in more folks. Like, again, like we haven't done anything in regards to the main plot of the show. We just set up why Jen is the way she is and that interaction with Bruce. And Jesse, you mentioned this at the top of the show, why they moved it up. And like we found out recently, like the test screenings were like, oh, yo, why don't you move that up? And I think it was the best decision they could have possibly made. It for us, who kind of know Jen Walters and what her deal is in Marvel Comics, we would have been like, oh, we would have been fine because we knew what we were going to get later. But to the common person, I think this is a great way not only to set up who Jen is, her affiliation with Bruce Banner, and just to give a little bit of an inkling that this show is a lawyer show. She explicitly told us, do not forget, this show is about me, lawyer, not me, Hulk. It's just me, Hulk, as lawyer.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. And they told us that twice in this episode. So
I'm not a Hulk.
Let's not get
lawyer.
shitty.
I'm a lawyer. That's a Hulk.
There you go. Boom. And what am I going to do about it? We're going to find out over the course of these episodes.
You're going to fuck around and find out.
Yeah, I think we're going to see.
Steve Rogers.
So in the comics, I think we see that the lawyer who comes to bring her on finds her in a drunken moment. And what we've seen in the trailers is like, bartender, more shots. Like a night where they just get super drunk. I think that's where she's going to get hit up. And it's going to
Speaking of getting super drunk, now we can get the setup for that post-credit scene real quick where Jennifer Walters fakes drunk to get an answer from Bruce Banner, which we don't know if it's fully legit, but he sounded confident when he said it, about Captain America losing his virginity during a CSO tour.
Yeah, I think he said USO tour. Yeah.
It happened.
I buy that it happened.
LeBron James. I'm gonna quote LeBron James, Chris.
I didn't know Matt Thomas
not
was on this review.
Not 2, not 3,
dude.
Not 4,
really?
Not 5, not 6, not 7. Are you kidding me? I go back to my prior point. He was the nicest man that those women had seen.
It's not that I don't believe you. It's not that I don't buy that. You're right.
Busy.
I don't think that's Steve's mindset. Plus, like, let's not act like Peggy Carter wasn't around and that he was infatuated with Peggy Carter. I don't see.
He got caught kissing and like wanted to jump out a window. He's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, quit playing.
So I don't know. Again, I buy that it happened, just not the way that we're all.
I've never known Captain America to lie, Curtis in the chat. I've never known Captain America to lie. When has he ever lied?
Who? I don't know. Who's to know? The guy's 90 years. He guy's like 150 years old now. I don't think we're gonna find out.
Regardless,
how do you know that? To quote Jennifer, the History Channel.
Even if my point to Jennifer would be, even if it wasn't then, he still didn't die a virgin because homie went back in time and banged Peggy Carter.
There you go.
Yeah,
and that's confirmed. They lived together for like,
by Colin's logic,
60 years.
it was a two Carters, Peggy and Sharon. If we're getting crazy,
Sharon's dead to me. I don't want to talk about her.
She's dead to a lot of people, depending on who you ask. Yeah. But like, in conclusion,
she's out there broking power wherever she.
This show was a ton of fun, and it's a welcomed change of pace to what the hell we've been getting. It's different than Miss Marvel, different than Moon Knight, different than WandaVision, Loki, etc., etc. It's a whole different show, and I know folks,
a whole different show,
right? And I know folks don't like. That we're getting.
Sure, my wife booed me from the other room.
It's not like we're getting this big, at least not yet, this big action-packed show, or folks don't like the fact that Jen is this outspoken woman. Sorry, guys, those exist. But I love that we got our Hulk stuff out of the way for now. We established who Jen Walters is, and we got the friendly reminder that this is a show about a Hulk being a lawyer. Simple as that. And it rules. And Tatiana Maslany.
No, this is a show about a lawyer being a Hulk.
You know what I mean? Either one.
Chris.
I'm sorry. But Tatiana Maslany absolutely rules. And I can't wait to see more of her. Put her in the movies already, if she already isn't in them.
I'd see, yes,
she'll be in the Avengers, for sure.
She'll be in the Avengers, but, even in Civil War in the comics, she's just kind of there. She's present and
this is Kevin Feige's comics, dog.
That's true.
She'll be in it.
You're right.
That's the MCU is its own storyline. It's kind of like the Ultimates, The Ultimates was its own Marvel universe. The MCU is a Marvel universe. So we can't be too beholden to the comics. They're inspiration.
Well, didn't they give the MCU a weird designation, in actual Marvel comics continuity?
If you ask Kevin Feige, it's 616.
Yeah, and Aman Vellani, who I trust more about comic accuracy, is like, no, Kevin, it's not.
But he says it's 616.
She doesn't.
I don't think it's 616, but no. Kevin, our king, he says it is. So it is 616.
Any crazy predictions? For the show? What's the craziest shit you think we're going to see?
I think Matt Murdock's going to show up.
Oh, okay. Well, Chris, nobody asked for a smart-ass comment.
Yeah, shit.
Crazy. That's a good question. Out there.
Because, look, you got a show that you already know is going to have Wong,
okay, hang on.
Abomination, Marvel, Daredevil, and Frogman. I mean, those bars are high.
Miss Marvel clearly sets up the Marvels. Do we think there's a film setup at the end of She-Hulk, episode 9? And what would that be? Way too early for Avengers setup.
No, I would see this show having the easiest way to give me a secret invasion tease up than anything else.
Ooh,
I don't see anything else that they've laid out
that
lines up as good as Secret.
And Secret Invasion, I think, is done filming
because it gets in with the DO, gets in with damage control, and I don't trust fucking Homeboy from Succession as far as I can throw him.
Ooh.
And that's the agent from Miss Marvel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So we're gonna similar to the end of WandaVision, the end credits scene, I should say, we will see Skrulls. Is what you're saying, Colin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've also seen the judge that's in this episode is like an elf
of some kind. Yeah.
The DODC
is Skrulls, bro. At least some of them have to be. I'm pretty sure.
I think there's Skrulls everywhere. But every little thing, maybe not. I don't know if we're gonna get any big Avengers.
Like the Red Scare, but it's just Skrulls.
Yeah. But my crazy predictions. Oh my god, I'd love to see. I know I don't want to. No, my first thought. Okay, I'll just explain my thoughts. Fantastic Four was the first thing that popped into my brain because of She-Hulk's obvious ties in the comics to the Fantastic Four. But they're not around yet. So it's kind of hard to tie them in if they're not around at the moment. At least not
What if
in
all
our
those
realm.
Ben Grimm rumors meant something, and that's who we see at the end of episode 9? That's my
Then
one.
when the hell did you get out of the quantum realm, dude? That's what I want to know. Where have you been, Ben? We could have used you.
Where have you been, Grimm?
Yeah, where have you been, Grimm? We could have used you, dog. I like that one. That one was better than the Hulk one.
That wasn't all right.
But that's where my brain goes. I like the Secret Invasion tee up for that, but I don't think the show really needs a big crazy ass MCU movie tie. Even though Born Again, we're gonna see Matt, so we're gonna see what the hell he's been doing in this MCU that Kevin Feige is orchestrating, not Netflix. So maybe we'll see Wilson Fisk too. Who knows? I
don't know. Speculation abound. All right. Well, with that wraps up our post-credit talk or talk about the show, a review. Rambled on a little bit, but there's a lot to say about the first episode. There's a lot to take in here. So hopefully a couple of these guys, one of these guys, somebody will come back next week. Maybe we'll try to get Taylor Robinson again because she was supposed to be on the show, but she's currently probably hulking out in traffic somewhere. So that is unfortunate. We'll try again.
She's on the other side of the world, so we can give her a break.
Yeah, she is down under. All right, guys. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you pop over here in a few minutes and join us for the Speak Easy. It's been Jesse, Colin, Chris. Guys, where can they find you? Colin?
You can find me wherever Colin Morris's are sold at the name down below at the _C Morris. You can check out my content on the myriad of College of Charleston Instagram pages, making all the hypey sports videos you need to keep your Instagram page just a little sporty to keep you functional.
Chris?
I will double down on what Colin said. His posts keep my Instagram just a little bit more sporty. But you can find me and at all the things I do, I share them on Twitter right down here at the letter C, Anthony Lopez. Follow me on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, the letter C _ Anthony Lopez. But I share everything I do on there, especially when I am on Flick and Reel. So show me some love at C Anthony Lopez.
Always show Chris some love. And Colin,
please.
Thank you for joining us so much. All right, guys, until next time, keep it real and hopefully see you in a little bit. Captain America Fox.